What happens when one of the most talked-about figures in modern celebrity culture sits down for what should be a friendly late-night conversation, and it suddenly turns into a shocking confrontation? In just 38 seconds, a simple question about charity work sparked a chain of events that ended with Meghan Markle being escorted off the set of The Late Show. Stephen Colbert stood frozen behind his desk. The audience fell completely silent, and millions of viewers were left stunned by what they had just seen. This is the story of that unforgettable night. The evening began like any normal taping of The Late Show. Stephen Colbert walked onto the stage to loud applause, delivered his usual monologue, and took his seat behind the desk with his familiar relaxed smile. His producers had secured a major guest, someone who rarely appeared on American talk shows anymore. Meghan Markle was in town, and after weeks of negotiations, she had agreed to sit down for what was expected to be a light, friendly discussion about her latest charitable projects. When Meghan walked onto the stage, the audience greeted her warmly. She was wearing an elegant cream-colored suit, her hair perfectly styled, and she moved with the confidence of someone very aware of every camera angle. She sat across from Stephen, crossed her legs, and offered a polished smile. "Welcome to the show," Stephen said warmly. "It's great to have you here." "Thank you for having me," Meghan replied. "Though I must say I was a bit surprised by the dressing room situation." Stephen laughed, assuming she was joking. "Oh, what? Not enough bottled water?" "Actually," she said calmly, "I was told I would have the main dressing room, the one with proper lighting and space. Instead, I was given what appeared to be a storage closet." The audience laughed nervously. Stephen's smile tightened slightly. "Well, I apologize if there was any confusion, but all our guests use the same preparation areas. We try to keep things pretty equal around here." "Equal," Meghan repeated. "Interesting word choice. I would have thought someone of my profile would warrant certain accommodations." "Someone of your profile?" Stephen echoed, his tone still polite, but edged with curiosity. "And what profile is that exactly? I think you know who I am and what I represent. I'm not just another actress promoting a film. I've lived a life few people can imagine." "Of course," Stephen replied, "and that's actually what I wanted to discuss. Your charity work has been in the news. Tell us about your latest project." Before answering, Meghan leaned forward. "Before we get into that, I need to address something. Your production team sent me a list of topics that were off-limits, topics I had already approved. Who changed that list?" Stephen glanced at his notes. "I'm not sure what you mean. We usually work with publicists to organize a 12-minute segment." "My publicist approved everything," Meghan said sharply. "Everything? So, who edited it?" "Was it you, Stephen?" "I didn't personally edit anything," he replied calmly. "Our producers work with every guest to make sure the conversation fits the show's format." "The format?" Meghan scoffed. "Or controlling the narrative, because from where I'm sitting, it feels like you're trying to silence me." The studio fell silent. "You're on national television," Stephen said carefully. "You can say what you want within your limits," she fired back. "Within your parameters." "Yes," Stephen said. "This is a late-night talk show, not a 2-hour documentary. So, when politicians come here, do you restrict them, too?" she asked. "We treat everyone the same," Stephen said firmly. "Conversations where you stay in control." "It's my show," Stephen replied, his voice steady but strong. "That's my responsibility." Suddenly, Meghan stood up. The audience gasped. "I don't need to sit here and be lectured." "I'm not lecturing," Stephen said, rising to his feet. "I'm trying to have a conversation." "A conversation implies equality," Meghan snapped. "And you clearly think you're superior." "I don't," Stephen said quietly. "But I do have a responsibility to this show and this audience." "What about your responsibility to treat guests with respect?" she demanded. "We've done exactly that," Stephen said. "You're the one who turned this into a confrontation because that's the only way people like you listen." "That's not true," Stephen replied. "This conversation has gone completely off track, and I'm trying to understand why. Because I'm tired of pretending everything is fine when it's not." "I welcomed you with professionalism," Stephen said, his voice rising slightly. "You came out looking for a fight." "I came here looking for basic respect," she shot back. And you received it, but you didn't receive special treatment, and that seems to be what you expected. The audience was completely silent. Special treatment? Meghan shouted. After everything I faced, the scrutiny, the attacks, the racism, how dare you? I'm not minimizing your experiences, Stephen said carefully. But that doesn't give you the right to attack my team. You're failing as a host and as a person, Meghan said coldly. Stephen paused. Then he said quietly, I think we're done here. You don't get to decide that, she snapped. Yes, I do. Stephen replied. This interview is over. Production assistant stepped closer. Don't touch me, Meghan said. I'm leaving, but this isn't over. She walked off stage, heels echoing through the silent studio. Just before exiting, she turned back. You're just another man protecting your kingdom. I hope you sleep well knowing you silenced a woman. I didn't silence anything, Stephen called after her. You said everything you wanted to say. She didn't respond. The door closed behind her. Stephen stood at his desk, visibly shaken. The audience didn't know whether to clap or stay silent. Well, Stephen said softly, forcing a weak smile. That happened. We'll be right back. When the show returned, Stephen calmly addressed the incident, stating that every guest is treated with professionalism and respect. He avoided mentioning Meghan by name and continued the show. Backstage reports later revealed that Meghan left the building immediately without speaking to staff. Audience members left stunned, many saying they had never witnessed anything like it. Some viewers sympathized with Meghan, others felt Stephen handled the situation with grace and professionalism. What was clear was how fast the situation escalated and how carefully Stephen tried to regain control. He gave multiple chances to reset the tone. When those failed, he ended the interview. You said everything you wanted to say. The audience heard every word. Those words became the defining moment of the night. The silence that followed Meghan's exit wasn't just shock. It was reflection. A moment when everyone realized they had just witnessed something rare, raw, and uncomfortable. And then, like all live shows must move forward, The Late Show moved forward. But for those watching both in the studio and at home, that moment would not soon be forgotten.